Lesson 40 is all about reciprocals and multiplication and division. And our key vocabulary word for this lesson is what a reciprocal is. Now, a reciprocal is just when we have a fraction, say we have 3/7, and we invert it. And when we invert it, we're just meaning we're going to flip or switch the numerator and denominator. So the reciprocal of 3/7 would have to be 7/3. Let's say we had the number 4/9, and we'll make it a -4/9. If we have -4/9, the reciprocal of -4/9 is going to be -9/4. Okay? Let's say we have the number 14. If we have the number 14 and we want to write the reciprocal of 14, we have to remember that 14 is the same thing as 14 over 1. So the reciprocal of 14 over 1 is going to be 1/14. Make sure you've got this written down in your notes. Let's move on to our next slide. Okay, our first problem is to solve 4 times x is equal to 12. Now, if we want to solve 4 times x is equal to 12, we could figure out what number do we multiply times 4 in order to get to 12. It's like saying 12 divided by 4. What do we get? Well, hopefully you said 3, because 4 times 3 is equal to 12. So we have our answer of x is equal to 3. We could do this problem another way. Another way that we could do this problem using a reciprocal would be to say 4 times x is equal to 12. Remember, when a number touches the variable, it's multiplication. We can use the reciprocal. And what we're going to do is we're going to say 4 times 1/4. Any number times its reciprocal is always equal to 1. So this is like saying 1/4 times 4 over 1. The 4's cancel, the 1's cancel. We're left with just x on the side. And what we do on one side, we have to do on the other side of the equation. So we're going to multiply this by 1/4. Remember, 12 is the same thing as 12 over 1. So let's rewrite. We now have x is equal to 12 over 1 times 1 over 4. We can simplify before we multiply because we know 12/4 is going to be the same thing as 3 over 1. So x is going to be equal to 3 times 1 is 3, and 1 times 1 is 1. So we get 3 over 1. X must be equal to 3. We got the same answer as we did before. Notice they're exactly the same. Okay, different method. This first method with mental multiplication is great for an easy problem with whole number answers like this, but our second method, using the reciprocal in order to help us solve, is great when we have more advanced problems, especially when we get fraction or decimal answers. Let's move on to our next slide. Alright, let's go ahead and solve this one. 2/3 times y is equal to 1/5. Do you know in your head what you have to multiply 2/3 by in order to get to 1/5? If you don't, that's alright. If you do, that's fantastic. We're going to check your answer. Let's go ahead and work through our same method. So we're going to have 2/3 y is equal to 1/5. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 2/3. So that's going to be times 3/2. We do that because the 3's cancel, the 2's cancel, and we're just left with the y by itself. Now we have to multiply by the reciprocal on the other side. So we multiply by 3/2. What we do on one side of the equation, we have to do on the other side in order to balance it out. So we're going to get y is equal to 1/5 times 3/2. Let's go ahead and figure out what our answer is going to be. Y is going to be equal to 1 times 3, that's 3. Y is equal to 5 times 2, that's 10. So we get our answer. Y is equal to 3/10. If you didn't know that in the beginning with mental multiplication, that's okay, because we have a method like this where we can use the reciprocal to help us solve. We get the right answer every time when we go through it just like this. Y is equal to 3/10 in this case. Let's move on to our next slide. Alright, we have m divided by 3 is equal to 6. This is saying what number divided into 3 equal parts equals 6? Can you think of what that number would be? It's like saying 6 times 3. 6 times 3 would have to be equal to 18. So m is equal to 18 because 18 divided by 3 equals 6. And that's true. The other way that we could do this problem is we could say, well, what do I need to multiply by? I need to multiply by 3. So m over 3, we'll rewrite, is equal to 6. And we're going to multiply both sides by 3. Because 3 divided by 3 is 1. We're going to multiply this side by 3, so 6 times 3 is 18, so m again must be equal to 18, and we've got our right answer. We're all done. We got the exact same we did before, a little bit different method, but we come out with the same thing. This method is great when we have those more advanced problems with fraction or decimal answers. Let's move on. Now we want to solve by dividing. In this one we have 4x is equal to 3. The method we just learned would be using multiplication to divide, and let's look at what that would look like. 4 times x is equal to 3. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal. We're going to multiply times 1/4 because that's the reciprocal of 4. These all cancel because it's really 4 over 1. Then we're going to multiply this side by 1/4. So we're going to get an answer of x is equal to 3 times 1 is 3. Remember, it's 3 over 1. 1 times 4 is 4. So x is equal to 3/4. We know our answer already. We can also use division to solve this problem, and that's a nice way. 4 times x is equal to 3. We can divide by the number we're trying to eliminate. We're trying to eliminate the 4 because we want to know what x is equal to in the end. We want to find out this value. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. That leaves x by itself, 1x. Now we're going to divide by 4 on the other side. What we do to the left side, we have to do to the right side. So look how quick that was. X is equal to 3/4. We're all done. We've got our answer. Exactly the same thing as it was before, just a little bit different method, using division rather than multiplication. Okay, we've got one more problem. We're going to solve by dividing. We have n times 0.04 is equal to 28. Now in this problem we want n by itself, so in the end it should be n is equal to something. So the number we want to get rid of is 0.04. We're going to divide by it. 0.04, that cancels. We're going to divide by 0.04. So the problem that we have to solve is 28 divided by 0.04. If we're dividing by a decimal, we've got to move that decimal point out of our divisor 2 times. We're going to add 2 decimal points or 2 zeros on after our 28, move it over 2 times, and then we're going to go straight up. So the real problem that we're solving is going to be 2800 divided by 4. Now we know 4 goes into 28 7 times. We've got 28. And there's zeros all the way across, so we can just bring those zeros straight up. Our answer must be 700. N is equal to 700. We've got our correct answer, and we're all done. If you have a question, please go ahead and write it down now. We're going to continue this more with our lesson practice on page 135 during our next class. Make sure you got your notes completed, and I'll see you next time.